Two big cases in Duval court today. First, Gloria Williams changes her plea to guilty, admitting that she kidnapped Kamaya Mobley as a baby from a Jacksonville hospital in 1998.
Plus, horrifying testimony was heard today against Donald Smith. He's the man accused of raping and killing 8-year-old Cherish Periwinkle. We have live team coverage of both of these cases for you tonight. So let's go right out to anchor Heather Crawford, who is live outside the courthouse with more. Heather.
Anthony and Jeannie, it has been more than 4 years since Donald Smith was seen walking out of a Jacksonville Walmart with little 8-year-old Cherish Periwinkle, who later would be found dead. Today, testimony began in his murder trial. In court today, the state calling its first witness to the stand. That is Cherish's mother, Rain Periwinkle. And continuing our team coverage now is Juliet Dreyer, who listened to Rain Periwinkle's testimony today. And Juliet, she really went step by step, reliving the last hours of her daughter's life.
She did. Rain Periwinkle really walked us through the final day of little Cherish's life, how a stranger named Don offered to buy clothes for Cherish and her two little sisters, but then just hours later, Don and Cherish were gone. They disappeared, and Rain would never see her daughter Cherish alive again.
He wanted to know how old we were, and then he told me he's 61.
Did he tell you his name?
Yes, he did.
What name did he give you?
Dawn.
Rain Periwinkle says Donald Smith made small talk as he drove her, 8-year-old Cherish, and her two other daughters to Walmart. In a frantic 911 call played in court Monday, Periwinkle described how the two met hours earlier.
Good morning.
I met him in today at Dollar General. He saw that I was struggling to buy them some clothes. He drove us here to buy us some clothes, and the only reason I went with him because she said his wife was going to be here.
The wife never showed up, Periwinkle testified. She never existed at all, State Attorney Melissa Nelson said during opening statements. Instead, it was all allegedly part of a sinister plan. Periwinkle says Smith was paying extra attention to Cherish, even picking out a pair of high-heeled women's shoes for her. But she feared saying something, worried about coming off as paranoid.
She's supposed to go to California in the morning on the plane, and he knows as I told him this. He knew when the store was closing. I had a bad feeling about him. I don't want him to kill us. I don't want to be one of those parents that are going through this.
As the Walmart neared closing, Periwinkle went to check out, but she says Cherish and Smith, who had gone to get food, were gone.
When your daughter followed after this defendant towards McDonald's, was that the last time you ever saw your daughter alive?
Yes.
And in opening statements, the defense outlined their plans to question Periwinkle's parenting decisions that led her and her children to the Walmart in the first place. But in a move that appeared to surprise his own attorneys, Donald Smith decided that he did not, in fact, want to cross-examine Cherish Periwinkle, of course, Rain Periwinkle. But of course, she was just the first in a long line of people to testify, and we have a lot more to come in this trial.
And Juliet, I have to say, this is one of the hardest cases I've ever had to listen to, just to learn what happened to this precious little 8-year-old girl, and the jury having to listen to all of this testimony. It's going to continue. Tomorrow, testimony resumes. The jury asked to be back in court at 8:45 in the morning, and we're expecting to hear the medical examiner take the stand tomorrow. We will be live streaming that on firstcoastnews.com. Juliet, thank you very much. The other big case going on here today at the Duval County Courthouse, that of Gloria Williams. Today, she changed her plea and pleaded guilty to kidnapping newborn Kamaya Mobley from a Jacksonville hospital all the way back in 1998. So let's take you back to 1998. It was July 10th of that year when Shanara Mobley gave birth to little Kamaya. That was at 7 in the morning. That day, video and witness accounts put the kidnapping suspect in and out of the hospital room between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Then, less than 8 hours after being born, Kamaya was abducted from the hospital. The hospital ended up settling this case for about $2 million, $1.2 million given to her birth parents and her attorneys. Then the remaining $725,000 put into an annuity fund to pay Mobley's mother $3,000 a month for the rest of her life. Now, Kamaya Mobley didn't know anything about this until she started running into problems when she started applying for jobs and had problems with her ID in South Carolina where she was living. She was then positively identified through DNA last year, and her kidnapper, Gloria Williams, was arrested in South Carolina January a year ago. The following month, she would plead not guilty. Today, again, Gloria Williams changing her plea, pleading guilty to kidnapping and interference charges. She is scheduled to be sentenced the first week of May. Now, Kamaya Mobley was reunited with her birth parents on January 14th of 2017. Her father, Craig Aiken, and her mother, Shanara Mobley, both still live here in Jacksonville. Now, First Coast News' Shelby Danielson continues our team coverage. She has been covering this case and was in the courtroom today. Shelby, what have you learned about why Gloria Williams decided to change her plea?
Well, we know that she changed her plea because that plea deal makes a huge difference in how many years she could be sentenced behind bars. We know that this kind of crime could actually warrant up to life in prison, but because of this plea deal, because of her saying that she did this crime, she will get a maximum of 22 years in prison. So a huge difference. And not only did she admit to this crime today, but she emphasized that she acted alone. No other family members were involved, and there are some other factors involved in this plea deal as well. That maximum sentence is lowered, and there will be no federal charges that are pursued. This plea deal also means that there will be no further prosecution in the state of Florida or in the state of South Carolina, where she's been living all of these years. And we spoke exclusively, if you haven't seen it yet, with Kamaya Mobley, and she told us that she actually speaks with Gloria Williams almost every day. And she says a lot of times it doesn't even seem like the woman who she thought was her mother is in prison because they talk about everyday issues.
God, she's still a mother behind bars. She's still like, she stays on me hard. Like, hey, what you doing? You got this yet? What you doing? What college you going to? Like, I get, what college are you going to? Like, probably every time we talk.
And again, we will return here for a sentencing hearing in May, and possibly Kamaya Mobley and her biological parents could make victim impact statements. So we'll be here for continuing coverage. Live at the courthouse, Shelby Danielson, First Coast News, on your side.
Shelby, thank you very much. So Gloria Williams scheduled to be sentenced the first week of May. As for the Donald Smith murder trial, testimony will resume tomorrow morning. The jury will be back here at the Duval County Courthouse at 8:45. We will continue to have a reporter in the courtroom tomorrow following the latest on that trial. That is the latest from the Duval County Courthouse. Jeannie and Anthony will send it back to you.